Hi, everyone. It's the Biohacking Blondes here. I'm Molly, and Alex is with us today, too. And we're very excited to say hello. It's been a week, and we've got a lot of new, cool, updated information for everyone. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about genetics and run through sort of the basics of a genetic profile, and looking at both Alex and my tests, which I think you guys will find very interesting. Um, and then we're going to chat a little bit about what we did this weekend, which was super fun. Alex and I went to the Biohacker Expo in Miami, and we had a super great time. Alex, do you want to share some of your findings from the
Y-
expo?
Yes. Hi, everyone. Yes, it was a great weekend where we connected with old and new friends. I'm always scouting for kind of the hottest new tech in the biohacking world and the new stacks that I can add to the protocols. And there was a couple of things that I thought was really interesting, or it's actually especially one that I liked a lot, which is the hyper. It was the bath, right? So you can have it
Mm.
hot or cold, and it looks like a bathtub, like a jacuzzi.
Yeah.
And what's in there is hyper dissolved oxygen, which is nanoparticles of oxygen, which basically they go through your dermis and they reach your cells. So the cells mitochondria, which is again what we talk about a lot in the biohacking world, because that's kind of the secret juices to health and longevity. So it does a very good job in detoxifying, and it goes in there and you sit in this bath like a jacuzzi for about 40 to 45 minutes, and it also has hydrogen in it. But it's really the nanoparticles that is kind of the secret sauce in that. And that was really exciting. And yeah, very, very cool.
So what,
Then,
so what does that help with then? Is that
so
for cleaning cells out? And
that's right.
yeah.
That's right. So cleaning cells from toxins and obviously inflammation, big, big, big. And yeah, just kind of getting those cells cleaned out, which makes a big, big difference, right?
Yeah.
To how your body works.
And in energy and all of that stuff. That
Sleep,
I would
sleep.
love that bath, and I would like completely dunk my whole face and stand under the
Yeah.
possible because it's so well, we got to put our hands in it, and it was freezing cold, but we would put our hands in it, and then we took our hands out, and he's like, just let it dry, and it's super packed oxygen filled water. And
Yeah.
so we took your hand out and we let our hand dry naturally. And then your hand feels like silk afterward. Like it's like it's like it took away all the wrinkles and took away all the aging.
Yes.
It
Wouldn't
just
that
like
be great?
enlivened it, right? Yeah, it was kind of amazing.
It
Um,
was amazing. It
yeah,
was amazing.
very
Yeah,
cool.
I thought that was really cool. Actually, can I ask you, Molly, what did you like the most?
I mean, I did think that that one was kind of like at the top of the list for sure. What else was good? There were a lot of really fun and interesting products. Like well, all the red light stuff was really amazing. Like those red light, chairs, red light beds. I mean, literally, they've turned everything into red light
Yes. Red
therapy.
light is so hot right now.
Yeah.
It's like everywhere, and it just like grows. It just comes more and more. And again, like I am the biggest, fan, because I've been using this red bed now for about 6 months, and I just love it. I think it's the best thing ever.
Oh,
And I can recommend it more. And that's definitely like my number one on a biohacking stack.
yeah,
It's
and I was listening to a Gary Brecka podcast, which by the way, we met Gary Brecka, which we were very excited at this expo because he's
yes.
kind of like a superstar in the health world. He's kind of out there doing amazing things. And but he was talking about on this podcast about how he has this red bed every morning and he gets in and it's like this amazing experience and you're getting like supercharged light. And red beds are pricey and you can go and get them and obviously call Alex if you want one.
Yes. I
um,
sell them.
but what he also said was, of course, go out in the sun every day too. And if you don't have the money to spend on it, then just the easiest biohack is just going outside and getting that early morning sunlight because it's so healing for your body and it can set your circadian clock. It affects the pituitary gland, and it can have similar effects too. So So
Yeah.
it's
It's
as
just
long as you can get outside.
yeah, so I mean I think the early morning sun is really for the circadian rhythm. It's the sun that is kind of in the middle of the day, which is the really, really bright sun. That's more for the mitochondria. So I
Ah,
would say
okay.
yeah, that's kind of what I kind of have heard and read and stuff like that. So I think like the red bed is because you got none of the harming rays in the red bed. You just have the nanometers of, the 610 to 680 and then the 810 to 910. This is the near infrared and the infrared light combined together. And you don't have any of the harmful rays, which I think it's quite important, right?
Oh,
Uh,
absolutely. Yeah. Especially in Florida, you don't want to be going out in the middle of the day or you will burn.
right. Well, the other thing, I mean, that I think our listeners, which is quite interesting, is biohacking itself is really we're trying to mimic nature.
Yep.
We're trying to mimic nature. So, like the other thing is the PMF, right, or PMA or PMI. They're all pulsed electromagnetic fields or frequencies. And the PMI, you're activating ions. That's from a company called Pure Waves. They're saying that you're activating every ion in your body. And then the company that I am affiliated with is the Centropics brand, where they are actually, it's the newest best one, 50x activation or molecular activation. So it's all the molecules in the body that you're activating. And again, this is going back to mimicking the resonance of the earth, which is the Schumann resonance, which
Mhm.
is, we are walking. So like when you ground, you get the same benefit, but a lot of people can't ground, right? Every day. I do it every day on the beach.
Yeah.
Very lucky to live here in Florida, right? So every day on the beach, I ground and walk my dog. And then you get that. It's incredible for the cells. I mean, for healing and for the cells, and all of your body, it's like grounding, or replace it with PMF or PMA.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that's quite important. The other thing that I did was I tried a VO2 max, where they actually measure your metabolic fat burning efficiency, and also your lung capacity, uh, your longevity. They can measure actually your actual age, and this is by a breath test. So I did this. I was sitting for 15 minutes, breathing in this oxygen mask, and then I just went through the results today, and they were pretty cool actually. So
How
that's
old are
pretty.
you?
Oh, I'm 37.
Amazing. And her biological age is 37. Yeah. So, and
So
how old are you for real?
I'm 47.
Well, there
So
you go. So that's what
well, the
you're.
biohacks are working, right? The
Oh yeah.
biohacks are working. And I feel like actually less than 37. So maybe the test was wrong, you know?
You're like, I feel 25 and I can attest.
I,
Yeah.
yeah,
She acts like she's 25. She really does.
right. I
That's
thought that was cool. And then I think both you and Molly, both of us, we love the Gary Brecka talk, right? The
oh,
superhuman protocol.
loved it.
What?
And so he was so great too. And for those who don't know, you should really follow him because I think his message is really strong. So his story is that he used to work for like 20 years at a life insurance company as a mortality expert. So basically his job, he's a biologist. So his job was to review medical records for a living. That's what he did. And then he would assess whether or not how long someone was going to live for in order to decide whether or not that he would give them life insurance, right? And we have a friend who's like, oh, my husband can't get life insurance because his platelets are too low, or this is too low, or this is too high. And that's exactly what they do. Like he sits and reads medical records. So he did that for like 20 years. And then what's kind of cool is he kind of came out of that sort of insurance world, which ironically, like I actually think life insurance and insurance, health insurance companies in general actually know more about health than like medical doctors
Yeah.
because they're incentivized to do so, right? Like they're
Uh,
in order for him to decide like how long does this person have to live before we have to pay out their life insurance, like he has to know a lot of things about, their blood work, which shows, your lack of B vitamins. Your blood work can tell you your vitamin D levels, like if someone has like a very low, single digit vitamin D level, he's like, they're not going to live very long. So maybe we shouldn't cover them, so this is all this is all stuff that like we don't really get a lot from doctors, with like supplements or moving points in terms of just nutrient deficiencies from a bad diet and all of those things. So I just love his perspective because he's coming in off of like this crazy life of working for a life insurance company and then totally switching the game now, and he's like on the other side now, like helping
It's,
people.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
it's
really
so great. And Molly, can I just so we kind of don't forget, he was talking about mental health, and he said that mental health is actually a deficiency in the body. So, like, if you find what you're deficient in, you supplement with that, and a lot of mental health, actually, most of mental health problems will start to vanish.
absolutely. And so I used to work for a holistic psychiatrist, Dr. Achina Stein, and I would see her patients as a health coach, and they were all patients who had, some depressive disorders, anxiety, different kinds of phobias, kind of you name it, right? And the sort of the biggest thing that we would do initially from the start is they would come in, and most of them had been on, like, no joke, SSRIs, which are serotonin reuptake inhibitors. And those are, they're basically like anxiety medication. And they'd been on them for like 25 years, some of them even 30 years, 35 years. And they come in and they're like, we want to get off this stuff, but we can't, because it's like completely, the minute you go off it, you go through a withdrawal period, which is quite drastic. And of course you think you're plummeting into depression. And what we had to try to train people to understand is that you're actually going through withdrawal, and that, we're going to help you with the depression side, but the withdrawal is not also depression, even though it feels that way. So
Right.
it's a bit of a tricky, slippery slope with the meds, in that way. But Gary Brecka was so great because he was like, listen, if you just, and we're going to talk about this today, the genetics, you look at a handful of genetics, if you have some SNPs in certain areas that, especially in your neurotransmitter areas, that are not so great, you need to supplement a little more, especially with like B vitamins, for example. Those are the big ones, especially B12, and, methylfolate. So it was really interesting. He's really preaching actually a lot of what I learned in FDN, which is functional diagnostic nutrition, which is like give the body everything it needs, support it with supplements, support it with nutrients, support it with a good diet, healthy exercise, proper rest and sleep. And then of course, like getting light, getting grounding, walking outside, that kind of thing. Like, and boom, all of a sudden all of these issues kind of go away for people, right? But it's like kind of like unraveling an onion when you meet someone, because you have to pull away a lot of these these behaviors that they've known for all these years, and kind of give them a new way of life, right? And then all of a sudden they start to feel better. So pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it's amazing, and
Yeah.
yeah, he's great. But
So we had a great time. Is there anything else you want to say about it, or should I jump into genetics?
yeah, we're not going to cover kind of what we did at night and all that stuff. That is hidden. That's a secret. No, it was Miami, and it's good restaurants, and it's fun, fun people, and all that. So that was good. But
No,
that's not
yeah.
for the show.
Oh, by the
That's
way,
for
we should tell them where we ate dinner, because that was our favorite. That's like
yes.
our favorite spot. So we had
Novikov.
dinner at Novikov, which please write this down if you're a foodie, but like it's one of the best Asian sushi restaurants that you can kind of find in Miami. And they also have one in London, as you were saying before, too.
Yes,
So
seven.
yes. So really delicious food, lots of healthy stuff to find there too. So we had a delicious seaweed salad. Oh, that was my favorite.
Oh yeah, it's so good. Oh, I'm so
So
hungry
good.
now.
And you don't normally think of a seaweed salad as being like interesting, really, but like that was,
Oh,
it's probably the best tasting thing I've ever like had. I don't know what they did
oh,
with dressing, but
oh my goodness,
it
Molly.
was
Oh my goodness. Let's finish up this podcast. I can eat.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then we went dancing. Then we went dancing as socialista. Socialista.
Yeah, that's right.
Just-
And I was actually going to bring that up when we talk about our genetics a little bit because I thought there's some funny stuff in there too that we're
Oh,
going to talk
okay.
about.
Okay, let's keep.
But yeah, so okay, so I'll dive in. So I currently run a genetics panel by Fagrin Genetics, and they have a bunch of different panels you can choose from. You can the Pro 7 is what they highlight as being their kind of like overarching one. If you just want like your basics, right, like your fundamental most important genes, right? Because there are thousands of genes, so you could talk about it all day long, but like this is kind of the basic profile. Um, and they split them up into parts. So like the first part, and this is also something Gary Brecka talked about quite a bit in his talk, is methylation. And so methylation is essentially like your body's way of getting energy, right? So it's like breaking down food, things like that, turning it into energy, and doing that through this whole like electron chain transport and getting B vitamins, especially working properly so that the whole chain of events kind of like flows smoothly, right? So the thing with, and probably many of you have heard of this MTHFR gene. They call it the motherfucker gene because it's really a pain in the ass if you have multiple SNPs on this. So just really quick, just so I don't sound too wordy here, but like a homozygous result, it means you have a double positive, which means you got one positive SNP from your mom and a positive SNP from your dad. And so that's when I say you have positive, it means you got it from both parents. And if you only got it from one parent, that's your heterozygous result. So so Alex and I did both of our tests, and I figured I would just talk about ours kind of and then show you guys what the takeaways are. So in Alex's methylation section, she only has one SNP under methylation, and it's not under the MTHFR section, it's an FOLR. And that's like basically just means she could just use a methylated B vitamin, so a methylated folate. So when you're looking at B vitamins in the store, make sure that underneath whenever you see folate, and you want to see folate, not folic acid generally, especially if you have any SNPs on your methylation, you want to look for methylated B vitamins. And so that's really the main takeaway here. So a lot of people are confused. They're like, "Oh, I really like I have clients who are like, Molly, like please let's test me for MTHFR. I think I have MTHFR." And I'm like, listen, we can run the test or we can just put you on methylated B vitamins. They're not going to hurt if if you are all positive, if you're fine. And see how it goes or see how you feel. So that's really the only takeaway with MTHFR. I think a lot of people kind of get a little too crazed about it, but really the main event is like, please just take your methylated B vitamins and you're going to feel much better. And then I, of course, on mine, I actually have the woman who read my test for me. She was like, wow, your methylation looks great. I don't have any homozygous results, so I don't have any double positives, which is great. And which means that she actually said that, B vitamins for me are not as necessary as they are for other people, even though, of course, I need them also too. uh,
Of course.
Right, but it's interesting. And then when we got down, so the other section of methylation is B12 specifically. So I have a SNP on my B12, which she told me is basically like you need a sublingual B12, which means sublingual means you get these little dots and you put them under your tongue, and that's better absorbed than if it went through digestion. So that was kind of an interesting takeaway too. You had a double SNP on your MTRR, which is kind of like it's all has to do with B12 as well. So you want to take make sure you're getting your B12 supplement. So these things are pretty basic, right? Like it's like here's your result, here's what you need to do, and it's really helpful, you know, to have this information and be just like, um, you know, enlightened about all of these things, right?
Yeah.
So let's see what else. So methylation, just really quick, is a key process that affects your stress response, inflammation, brain chemistry, energy production, immune response, detoxification, antioxidant production, cell repair, and genetic expression, just to say a few things.
Wow.
Um, if you have a positive, like Alex has the one positive under her under methylation, it says the strengths of that are intensity, alertness, productivity, focus, improved DNA repair, and decreased risk of colon cancer. So that's good. That's if you have a positive. And then the weaknesses of having a positive could potentially be, and not always, obviously, could be depression, anxiety, autoimmunity, migraines.
I
So
got
yeah, yeah, and for you, you have the autoimmunity of it. So it's interesting. And one thing that both of us wanted to talk about, and we talked about together when we were reviewing these, is that your genetics aren't necessarily the end all be all, right? Like if you are living a really healthy life, you're eating healthy food, you're getting exercise, you're getting outside, you're kind of doing all those things well, you can have a bunch of SNPs and maybe they're not showing up. You know, maybe they're not showing up in your life as depression or anxiety or things like that. Because you have good epigenetics, which means that you're more adapted to your environment. You're doing the right things, you're getting the right nutrients in your body, all of that stuff. Okay, so that's methylation. The next section is just neurotransmitters, which this is the fun one that, you know, kind of tells you about your propensity for, mood disorders, anxiety, depression, that kind of thing. And what I wanted to tell you that was different here, which was kind of cool. So you have a double positive on your COMT and your MAOA genes.
Mhm.
And the woman had said, who talked to us about this from Fager, and she was like, "Oh, that means you could potentially need a mood supplement or a focus supplement, that kind of thing." And we all know with Alex that she is not by any like stretch of the imagination needing any kind of like mood enhancement. I mean, right? I mean, you are so happy and you're so positive and, you know, all of these things. And so this really feels like it doesn't apply to you. But then when I was reading more about COMT, which is where you have a double positive from your mom and your dad, um, it says when you have a double positive here, the strengths of having a double positive are that you have focus, tons of energy and alert,
Wow.
good,
Isn't that crazy?
right? Good spirits and glowing skin. I was like, that's Alex.
That's crazy.
But that's
Isn't that
the truth.
crazy?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So it can go it can flip either way, right? Like, so if you're doing what you need to be doing in your life and doing the positive things to live a healthy life, then this positive here has a good effect. Um, and then if you aren't doing, you know, all the things that you should be doing, let's say you're eating crappy food, you're,
Not moving, not sleeping,
right. Let's say
right?
you're doing
That's
that,
good.
then the weaknesses of this gene could potentially be irritability, insomnia, anxiety, fibroids, increased risk of estrogen sensitive cancers, test anxiety, neurological disorders, migraines, PMS, impatience, vulnerability to addictions. So that's just a short list of like, you know,
Nice.
if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, what you could potentially, you know, run into. And then the other one that you have a double positive on is your MAOA. And this is the gene that actually affects mood swings and carb cravings. So if you so if you have a double positive here, listen to this. The strengths of having a double positive are energy, self-confidence, focus, highs of productivity, and joy, which
Wow,
is,
that's me.
yeah, that's so you.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but
Wow.
if you're not taking care of yourself, the weaknesses are potentially mood swings, carb cravings, irritability, headaches, insomnia, and addictions. So there you go. Very
I love
interesting
that.
stuff.
That's where the epigenetics plays such a big role in, all our genes, and it's
Yep.
so important,
Nothing.
right, for people to know.
Yeah, and nothing is as a death sentence, you have this, let's say you have a bad gene in there. It doesn't mean it's going to show up as symptoms in your life.
Right.
But let's say, for example, let's say you weren't living a healthy lifestyle and you have these double positives here. What could she do about it? So obviously improve the lifestyle, number one. But number two, there are supplements with riboflavin, taurine, choline, trimethylglycine is a big one. Actually, Gary Brecka talks about that at length. Trimethylglycine is a big one. Dimethylglycine, DMG, inositol, and L-methionine, which are great. Those are all mood enhancing supplements. You can get these, supplements very easily online or in combination with each other. And you can get them from a practitioner like myself. So
Yes.
yeah. So those are kind of the neurotransmitter ones, which I thought were kind of cool to talk about. And then as far as let me look at me in terms of neurotransmitters. I have a double SNP on my GAD. And that one in the neurotransmitter world basically means I need a GAD enhancer. So I need to take more magnesium, N-acetylcysteine, zinc, elderberry, L-theanine. Oh, I said that already. Melatonin. So those are all. So that's like what I would need to help sort of with brain function and that kind of thing. And then let's see. The next up on this list is mitochondria. So the mitochondria are kind of affected by a lot of different elements, mainly a lot of things that you can honestly get from a basic multivitamin. So they're recommending here this like mitocell PQQ supplement if you have any positive SNPs on your mitochondria. Alex, you had a positive SNP on your COX5A, which is like basically you could just take some magnesium and some CoQ10 and antioxidants, and then that would help with this SNP. The next one is detox, which is also very helpful to know all of these things. So it kind of shows on your detox section which genetics you need help with. Like, for example, should you be taking glutathione? Do you need a higher dose antioxidant, like a resveratrol or curcumin, or more? Maybe you need more vitamin C. That kind of thing. And you and I actually have the exact same genetics for detoxification. So that's cool.
Really? Do we really? That's
Yeah.
really interesting.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's pretty cool. So we only have 3 heterozygous results, and they're actually the same 3. So that's kind of fun. That's kind of cool. So we just need a little glutathione, a little N-acetylcysteine, and maybe some high dose antioxidant resveratrol, which I got some more resveratrol, which I'm very excited
So
about.
did I. They
Yeah.
arrived yesterday. Yes, excited
Woohoo,
about
we got to try it. So
it.
resveratrol, just for people who know, I'm sure you've heard about it in the past. It's kind of in the grape skin. That's where it comes from. And for a while, people were saying, "Oh, you get in wine. That's why wine is so healthy." Hell,
I
wine
know.
is not healthy,
Huh?
unfortunately. I wish it was. Uh,
Yep.
but
Yep.
you have to drink so much wine to get enough resveratrol that it's not
Have
really
liver damage,
right.
right?
Exactly.
You got
You need
your
a lot more.
resveratrol, but you got liver damage.
Right. You need a lot more
You're
detox.
an alcoholic. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. So the resveratrol, you can buy it in higher doses. And it does this kind of magical thing, especially in the arteries, which I didn't realize this before, but it can help relax the muscles around the arteries so that the arteries open it up better. And so you can release nitric oxide in there and make sure that, your blood is pumping in a nice, you know, uh, clean way in through basically like the pipes in your body are flushing nicely as opposed to being under pressure, which is what a lot of people with high blood pressure have. Their pipes are too tight. And think about like, putting water through pipes that are too tight. What happens? The pressure goes up, right? So that's that. And blood pressure is like the number one silent killer in the country right now. It's like you don't feel it. You would think you would feel it with all that pressure in your body, but you actually don't feel anything. And then the first sign you have of anything being wrong is boom, a stroke. So, you know, blood pressure is pretty rough. It's a lot of people are on blood pressure medication. So resveratrol is kind of a cool little hack to, you know, get in there and change some things around. And since we're talking about that, if we move over, the next section in the genetics test is inflammation. And there's a SNP at the bottom called your NOS2, which is actually your nitric oxide. And this is like a huge factor in heart health for the same reason I described with the resveratrol, right? Because if you have enough nitric oxide moving through those vessels, it's going to open up the vessel so that nothing kind of gets clogged in there, right? And cholesterol kind of gets this bad rap because it's always kind of around when when things go wrong, but it isn't actually what's like causing the main problem. Like it's the constriction of the blood vessels. And then the cholesterol kind of gets caught and stuck, and then that's when you can have a stroke or a heart attack or things like that. Um, so and NOS3 is really good. You and I both have positives on that NOS SNP, so that's good. So no heart issues there for us. But if you have a history of heart disease in your family, that might be a SNP that's interesting to you. And maybe you want to take nitric oxide, maybe you want to take some resveratrol. But there are a bunch of different things that you can do there. Let's see, what else? I feel like that kind of covers a lot of things. They had some, additional markers like external inflammatory markers, like they have on here a SNP called FUT2 that has it tells you whether or not they think you need prebiotics and probiotics, like basically how strong your stomach microbiome is. Like I have a positive SNP there. So I'm one of those people who generally needs more probiotics and prebiotics. So lots of really interesting stuff. I mean, I could go through the whole thing and I don't want to bore people, but it's like there's a ton you can learn here, and there's really good recommendations for supplements that you can take that can help any of these kinds of issues that you have like in your gene pool. So very cool, very interesting stuff. And we even showed our genetics test to Gary Brecka when we were taking a picture with him, and he went through it and he's like, "Oh, I love resveratrol." So he was very excited for us to kind of dish this stuff out, and it's important to know. Anything
It's
else? Yeah.
No, it's super cool. Didn't he give you a bottle?
He didn't give me about, oh, he told me the brand of one that he
Oh, I
liked.
see. Right.
Yeah. But I'm because I'm a practitioner and Alex is too, we have a full script account, so we can get it on there like for much
Yeah.
cheaper.
Yeah, which is
So
incredible. We're so lucky.
we are very lucky in that way. And by the way, I give all my clients actually 25% discount on supplements. So, with whatever the main retail price is, I make sure that all my clients are getting a hefty discount, because they're very expensive, and it's they're worth it at the end of the day. But at the, when you're adding, 6, 7 supplements, it starts to add up.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. But they're helpful. I mean, they're very helpful, right?
Oh,
So,
they can really move the needle. I usually tell people that supplements, if you think about it, are like a bridge. So you can do a lot with food. Most of the time, supplements are just food. It's just they're, like a super dose, right? So it's like being on a supplement is like taking a bridge, and it's getting you somewhere faster, right? Than like if you were to swim across the pool as opposed to if you were running across the bridge of the pool.
right,
So
right.
it just gets you there faster, and it can really make a change. And like Gary Brecka was saying, like we just look at a few of these genetic SNPs, we give you guys basically some B vitamins. That's basically all he was saying, like a multivitamin, a nice hefty pack of methylated B vitamins, and boom, you're feeling better.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot that can be gained by some simple supplementation and a little bit of knowledge from your genetics too.
And Molly, can you tell the listeners how they can kind of get this done? I mean, through you, or tell
Yeah.
them a little.
Yeah, so if you come to me as a client, I can order a genomics test from Fagrin for you. I actually have like hundreds of different ones to choose from. We like Alex and I did the kind of the very basic one that's like your fundamentals. So if you don't know much about genetics, you can do that first, because then it'll tell you your methylation and things like that. And especially methylation, by the way, I didn't mention, is important because people who have a SNP on the MTHFR gene cannot methylate folic acid, and they can't turn, they can't convert folic acid into energy. So unfortunately, folic acid is like this very fake what do you want to call it? It's like it's a fake nutrient that's out there, and they fortify cereals with it, and they spray it on wheat. Now I just read that recently, which I was like, oh my God, wheat has so many
Oh,
problems. Like it's being sprayed with glyphosate, it's being sprayed with folic acid, it's got all these issues.
okay.
And if you have, by the way, an MTHFR gene and you're taking a supplement that has folic acid instead of a methylated folate, um, you're subject to having a miscarriage, issues like that. So that's why, like, even young people should really get a genetics test before they get married, maybe before they have kids, just to see, just to make sure they're taking the right supplementation. Because if you're eating a ton of cereal as a pregnant woman and you have an MTHFR gene, like, that potentially could, like push down the road to a miscarriage. So these things are not things that doctors tell you about for some reason. I don't know why. But this is like
We're here.
been heavily studied. Yeah.
That's
So
what we are here,
yeah,
right?
that's why we're here. We're trying to spread the word and tell people what's going on. But like, you would never give a pregnant woman a folic acid supplement. That is just not the right thing to do. So, and also they have to be careful of it in foods as well. So it's important. The stuff like you know, uh nutrition is super important for pregnant women and everyone, obviously,
Yes.
but like, especially for pregnant women. But getting the right things that you're deficient in, I think, is really key. So having that little genetics test, and by the way, a genetics test you only have to do once. You don't ever have to do it again. It's not like, my hormone tests that I run every 3 months on people, or even a stool test, you have to run it again. Once you do it, it's over and you're good to go. Fagrin also does like women's health genetics. They'll give you like any combination of SNPs you want to see. If you have like an autistic child and you want to kind of look at those kind of markers, you can do that. ADHD kind of falls there under some different neurotransmitter ones. So you can sort of see what you may or may not be predisposed to, and then they give you recommendations for supplements, and then I can get the supplements for them. So
Perfect.
it's a cool test. Yeah.
Great. Well, I think this was a good information session, wasn't
I,
it?
I think so. I hope you guys learned some things, and we're excited to share more. We've got, a lot of other things up our sleeve for the next couple weeks. So, so we're gonna, and maybe we can even go over a couple hormone and stool tests, and I can tell people about how that works too, because that's always interesting to kind of like look under the hood at somebody's test and take a look.
Absolutely. I think it's super, super, super interesting. And yeah, we're cooking up a lot of interesting stuff here over in Vero Beach, Florida. So
Yeah.
I hope you're enjoying this. And again, any recommendations, what you want to hear about, please shoot us a message, email. I'm Scandy Labs and Alexandra Cochran too on Instagram, and we are the Biohacking Blondes on Instagram. And Molly, you are.
I'm Molly Siegel Wellness on Instagram. So, hit us up. And also, if you can share this podcast with someone that would be great. We're trying to build up our, base of people. So it'd be, whenever you share it, that would really make us happy. And hopefully you can share it with someone who maybe needs to learn something about health. So that
And
would
the
be.
other thing is, if any of you know someone, if you yourself want to come on our podcast, because we're going to start hosting guests very
Yeah.
soon as well.
Yeah.
Um, Please also either on Instagram, contact us, or I'm Alexandra at scandylabs.io, email, or Molly, what are you?
Molly at detoxcafe.com.
Yeah. And we both have websites. Scandilabs.io is mine. And Molly, you got Detox Cafe?
Yep, detoxcafe.com. So you can visit us there too.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's cool. And also I keep getting emails from people, from random people on the internet about our podcast saying that we need more, what do you call them? Comments on
Oh, comment. Oh, comment.
comments on the podcast. So if
Please comment.
yes, please comment. I mean, negative, positive,
Fine.
if you have a question, whatever you want to say, we'd love to hear from you. So just hop into Spotify or Apple Podcasts and you can write a little comment down there. Or if you just want to, just say something about what you thought, or if you have any health issues or something you want us to answer about, we're happy to hop in.
Great. Thanks, everyone. Have a lovely weekend.
Bye-bye.
Bye.